Economics 101. Today we talk about the JOLTS. That's a job openings and labor turnover survey. It's a lesser known employment report, but equally important because what we're going to show you in just a moment, it includes a number of different metrics that when put together really tells a complete story about the condition of the labor market. So we start off with the number of hires. Again, this is on a monthly basis. It's reported in thousands. This has continued to decline over the years. We're currently level of 5.2 million, which is the second lowest low we've seen actually quite a long time. That again is the number of hires. Now we look at the number of job openings, and that currently stands at just a little bit below 8.1 million, which has declined over time, but is starting to uptick, and that is encouraging. Now we see layoffs and discharges. Now these are not people who are quitting, but rather that are being laid off or fired from their jobs. And we can see over here that is starting to rise over the past year or so. After hitting lows of 1.5 million, we're now at 1.7 million. Again, this is layoffs and discharges. But compare that to total separations. Total separations includes those people who quit. Now we can see that number is declining, and that's a very interesting dynamic, is that the number of people that are quitting, including people that are quitting, that is declining versus the layoffs that is rising. Putting it all together, what do all these numbers tell us? Well, we can see over here in blue, that is number of hires, in red, openings, in yellow, layoffs and discharges, in white, separations. What we see in particular is the dynamic where the layoffs and discharges are rising, whereas the job openings are declining. That's where the yellow line is ticking up. At the same time, the red line is ticking down. And the red line, the openings has ticked up, and that is encouraging. But the prior couple months, that trend was a little bit disturbing. And we're going to show you, in a worst case scenario, what this could look like. What does a recession look like? Well, for that, we go back to the days of 2008. And in particular, notice at the beginning of the recession, and this really started late 2007, the yellow line, layoffs and discharges, those were companies that just had to cut back on employees. That was rising rapidly. The red line, the job openings, that was declining. So there's less job openings and there was more layoffs. This was in the days before leading up to the 2008 recession. Now take a look at the white line. That's total separations. Those are the people quitting their jobs. Now, they weren't quitting their jobs because, if you remember, they sensed a recession. So I'm not going to quit my job right now. There's not a lot out there. Now we can see the blue line, that's the hirings. So the hirings were declining. At the same time, the white line, the people quitting, that kind of stayed flat. So, they were hiring less and less, but people were not quitting their jobs because they sensed there was trouble out there. This is really what makes up the recession. Now take a look at the recovery. This is very interesting. First of all, the red line, job openings, skyrocketing. The blue line, that's the hires. That's also skyrocketing. Notice also the white line, the total separations rising as well. You see, when we left the recession and we entered a period of time of recovery, well, people started to quit their jobs because they sensed that there were better prospects out there. That's what a recovery looks like, when people start quitting in optimism because they think there's better opportunities. Going back to present day, well, we can see again, we see the layoffs and discharges that's rising. At the same time, the job openings are declining. It gives us hints that are very similar to what we saw in late, 2006, 2007. But we're not quite there yet. And of course, the trend could change. So, what we want to look at moving forward is we want to see the layoffs and discharges, that yellow line, not to continue to go up. We'd like to see the total separations go up because that shows us there's optimism out there, that people are quitting their jobs because they sense there's better prospects out there. We'd also like to see hirings and openings rise as well. But the layoffs and discharges, we're going to hope that doesn't continue to rise over time. As a reminder, this is part of our series, Economics 101. Last time we spoke about building permits and housing starts. And we hope that you'll join us soon because we're going to cover a lot more of these very significant economic numbers. We look forward to seeing you back soon.